President Lee Jae Myung's diplomacy in India and Vietnam this week is a major push towards engaging key global South countries. We bring in our foreign affairs correspondent Oh Soo-young to discuss the significance of that trip. Welcome back, Soo-young.
Hi, Tammy. It's great to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Soo-young, so first, with the Vietnam summit today, tell us why Seoul and Hanoi are looking to deepen their collaboration further.
Well, first of all, Vietnam is already South Korea's third largest trading partner and its largest overseas manufacturing base, with around 10,000 South Korean firms already operating there. And Seoul now, of course, wants to upgrade that into a economic security-focused partnership, it seems. And before President Lee began his trip, National Security Advisor Wi Sung-lac said that the goal was to almost double bilateral trade from 86.7 billion recorded in 2024 towards $150 billion by 2030, while expanding cooperation in energy, supply chain stability and critical minerals, as well as infrastructure and nuclear power. Meanwhile, Vietnamese state media has framed the visit as a chance to move forward towards a broader tech and innovation-driven partnership.
Vietnam needs institutional reforms and develop modern infrastructure, including nuclear power plants, high-speed rail, ports, and smart cities. However, it is difficult for Vietnam to accomplish this alone. Here, Korea's experience is crucial. Korean firms are already heavily invested in Vietnam, but securing sufficiently skilled local labor is tough. Korea can help train skilled workers who can then support Korean companies operating locally.
And Soo-young, this came after President Lee Jae Myung's summit with the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi earlier this week. What did their summit include?
Right, well, the key highlight, I would say, it was the first South Korean presidential visit to India in 8 years, so that itself was pretty impressive.
Indeed.
But also the meeting between President Lee and Prime Minister Modi, that did end up with a lot of concrete deliverables as well. The two sides, they agreed to raise bilateral trade from about $27 billion to $50 billion by 2030, resume talks to improve their bilateral trade pact, and launch new cooperation in AI, semiconductors, shipbuilding, defense, critical minerals, and energy.
That India is trying to be an important player, especially they want to emerge in a key player in emerging technology like semiconductor, artificial intelligence, biotech, and I think Korea is very strong in this field, AI, biotech, semiconductor. So I think there is huge synergy between India and Korea because, as I mentioned, that India has a huge labor force, skilled manpower.
India and Korea also issued a joint strategic vision and set out new frameworks on digital cooperation, shipbuilding, shipping and maritime logistics. Now, over the past decade, the Korea-India relationship has been politically slow, with enduring sticking points in SEPA, the trade pact, and also Korean businesses doing business in India. This summit has therefore really underscored the need to bolster economic cooperation, which really matters at this very geopolitical tense time in history as well. President Lee Jae Myung said that Seoul would work closely with India to help ensure safe and free navigation through the Strait of Hormuz and diversify energy supply chains to reduce dependence on the Middle East.
I see. Then, taken together, Soo-young, what do these summits say about President Lee's approach to major economies in the global South?
Well, Seoul's foreign policy since the start of the Lee Jae Myung administration has very much included a broader outreach to global South countries. And President Lee's visits this week were made to arguably the most important players among emerging economies. And we do hear overwhelmingly these days about economic security, as the boundaries between economics and security have become increasingly blurred, and with supply chains, critical minerals and advanced technologies all directly linked to national security. So to safeguard Korea's interests and also help stabilize global trade, it's really essential to broaden and strengthen these kind of strategic partnerships. And of course, the key word here is diversification.
In that sense, cooperation with India and Vietnam is important not only for critical minerals, but also for broader manufacturing supply chains. These countries have shown relatively stable economic growth even amid global crises and have strong future potential.
India is also a kind of leader in global South because India is pushing inclusive growth, In the AI era, they talk about how smaller countries can secure their place in this rapidly evolving bipolar tech order. So I think there is huge scope for cooperation between India and Korea in this global South discourse.
So really the common thread here is that both relationships help Korea widen its room to manoeuvre in a more fragmented world with very interconnected but also very fragile linkages.
Indeed. Soo-young, thanks for the coverage. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Tami.